Are there any existing school building issues in Weymouth that have gone unaddressed that might be affecting the ability of kids to learn well, or you have a facilities issue? I mean, we've just had 3 communities take on school building projects in the past week. Is there anything extant in Weymouth that you see has gone unaddressed?
Well, for one, we have the West Augusta School, a primary school that's in the process of getting a new roof put on that was known about some time ago. The teen center roof, which would have cost $50,000 to repair last year, is costing $250,000 this year because it was put on the back burner. So you have the roof at West Augusta School leaking. The kids are moving around. We'll have, we don't know what the numbers are going to be yet, students coming in from Southfield that are going to overwhelm the Hamilton School. So there are a number of issues. And speaking of Southfield, no one has really addressed where the money is going to come from to educate the students. When you look at an $84 million budget and you have 6,935 students, that comes to $12,112 a year. So my suggestion at a recent town council meeting was that we have the people at Southfield pin a check on the kids on the first day of school for $12,112. Bring them in. We'll educate them all. But that's not going to happen. This whole smart growth principle at Southfield is, I've been against it from day one. We could have had a wind farm, we could have had a solar array there, we could be generating electricity, selling it back into the grid, we could be powering the town. Braintree has the electric and light department. Why aren't we doing that? You see, again, it goes to the lack of a forward vision, the lack of moving forward, moving out of the dark ages that were imposed on us 389 years ago in 1622, and getting out of that, moving away from that and looking forward. Yes, we have a number of issues. We have police issues. We have school issues. Believe me, my press release addresses many, if not all of them. This is going to be a 24/7, 365 day job. And, it's kind of frightening. It's kind of frightening. I had a conversation with Tanya Kasparowicz, who edits the Tiny Town Gazette, and in a conversation I said, well, what if I wake up one day and I'm the mayor? And she said, well, you'll do a good job because you have a good heart. So.
Well, with respect, again, and I take you at your word that you do have a good heart.
Mm-hmm.
Running a municipality in 2012, 2011 takes more than a willing heart. It takes some fiscal knowledge, some knowledge of the political system, which deals with, money coming into the community from federal and state agencies. It requires some level of management and hiring experience in order to be able to manage key personnel, recruit them appropriately, and interact with your abutting neighbors and your statewide neighbors. So how do you line up, beyond having a willing heart? What skills do you bring to the table that says you can be the chief executive of a $100 million company?
Well, along with the willing heart, I have a willing mind. I'm willing to listen to people. And, a mayor, I'm not going to go in day one and have to replace everyone on staff. People are in place. And, I may not have the exact number coming in from a state grant, but we have a CFO who gets $100,000+ a year. And so everyone has their job. And over a period of time, I'm going to have to evaluate all the people that are in these positions and say, and call them in one at a time and say, okay, we need to get to this directly.
What in your life experience has given you that kind of management knowledge or experience?
I've run my own businesses.
Have you had employees?
Yes. Yeah.
How many?
3, 4.
Okay.
I worked for a company a few years ago, back in early 2000, 2001. My sales were through the roof because people and I was working in Connecticut, and, you know, a more affluent community down there, but people believed in me. I put jobs together. I put plans together. I reviewed the plans. So the management skill comes from all of that. I mean, if you come in and you're going to spend $50,000 or $100,000 for a kitchen, I need to explain to you what it's going to have and what we as a company are going to do. And so that management skill just transfers over. The numbers are bigger, yes, okay, but there's more help available. You have a well-trained CFO, staff that are in place that have been there for years that know the ins and outs. And it's going to be my job to tap into their knowledge base and say, okay, fine. Am I going to make mistakes? Sure. I'm human. I'm fallible. But as I said when I came in, with my answer book here, Bob doesn't have all the answers, but he'll get them for you. And so I'm very inquisitive mind. I love work. I love working long hours. I mean, when I was working in Connecticut, it was like in your business, you know, this is not a 9-to-5 job. Okay, so, you know, and I love that. I love that. I love that, you know, it's inspiring. I'm not doing it to, you know, to be leading the parades and all that stuff. I don't care about a pension. I won't be eligible. I don't have years. So, I mean, that in itself is going to save money from that respect. I take care of myself. I'm healthy. I beat back diabetes. So, I mean, I still have tinges of it, but, you know, I'm in control. And I think the first thing a person needs to do is to be in control of themselves before they try to control any other situation. And I'm in control.
You mentioned Southfield, Mr. Montgomery. What is the role of the Weymouth mayor vis-a-vis the Southfield Development, and where do you see shortcomings in the current administration, and how would you approach it differently?
Well, the mayor's not going to have any real input into Southfield because Southfield is its own entity. They're not going to be paying any taxes, so they're not in our tax base. They have their tri-town and a board of directors, and the former CFO for Weymouth is now the CFO there. So they've become their own entity. And all they're going to do is piggyback onto Weymouth because we have an established police force. We have established schools. We have established this, that, and the other thing. So they're just going to come in and they're going to feed off that.
Is there not an agreement in place with the Tri-Town Authority that allocates payment for services from the three communities involved?
Weymouth is getting all of the residential.
No, I understand that,
Okay,
but in the bylaws of Southfield, and
There's mitigation money.
I thought, so that money will be coming into the community.
Well, you know, you can say that, but mitigation money that's been due has not been forthcoming. We're still looking at the monies that were supposed to come in to fix Columbian Square. Right now, there's the mitigation money that the mayor wants to use to increase the budget a little bit further, and the town council balked at that. These were monies that were set aside for other capital expenses, for, you know, big capital expenses. And it just seems that the mayor's on a spending spree right now with, let's say, the Emery Estate, $2.4 million purchase with no plan, another $35,000 RFP going out, asking people for ideas. I gave an idea at the meeting. Christian was there. I stood up and said, you know, I'm going to shock everyone. I'm going to speak in favor of this proposal, but you need to borrow another $500,000 to $600,000 because from a photograph that I've seen taken of the skyline through the balustrade, it had lead paint. And it was after I mentioned that it had lead paint, or could have lead paint, that the planning director, who had given a 30-minute presentation, turned around to me and said, well, yes, not only does it have lead paint, it has asbestos shingles, asbestos in the heating system, mold, and structural damage from a fire in the attic. Okay, so, okay, great, we've just bought a pig in a poke. So I suggested that they partner with a private developer as an alternative who would come in and put their money up. And they would repair the building for whatever use that developer, bed and breakfast, whatever, hold weddings there, so on and so forth. Let that developer come in and spend his, her, or their money to do the repairs, to get the place spiffied up, and pay an annual rent to the town, so that we don't have, they've taken $12,000 is taken off the tax rolls with that purchase, now that it's town property. The building inspector estimated it's going to be $50,000 to $60,000 a year to maintain the property. So you're looking at a $70,000 turnaround with no plan.
Would you have bought it when it came up?
No. That deal was, this place is supposed to replicate Washington's Mount Vernon home. Washington's Mount Vernon home did not have a balustrade with peeling paint on it at the very least. The Boston skyline I could see from the second floor of my garage. Okay? More thought had to be put into that. Dr. Remry and his wife were great people. The family turned and said, well, we want to give the town of Weymouth first refusal. The town of Weymouth said, okay, fine, we have a 24-acre estate. We can put 28 building lots up there, and we don't want any more buildings, so we're going to take it off the market forever by purchasing this property with community preservation funds. And so that's what they did. But there was no plan. And to me, the real estate salesman contacted the town and said, you know what, there are no developers out there with $2 million to spend on this property, so maybe the town would want to have first dibs at it. Okay, fine, and the town bought. But again, it was without a plan. And if you're going to expend taxpayer dollars, you need to have a plan up front. It's like this here. This is my concept, this is a dream, I want your input into the dream, okay, and here's the price tag. Are you willing to spend that kind of money? This is not for me to just write a check as the chief executive officer of the town. I'm supposed to be listening to the people, not a certain segment of people, which is what we generally get most of the time. Everyone else, as I mentioned in my MAC, I call it the MAC, the Mayoral Advisory Committee, there's an equal distribution of political affiliation. Okay? I want input from everyone. I don't want anyone excluded. These three people from each precinct are going to go out and put their ear to the rail in their particular little communities and find out what's going on.